Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainers. So, if you've been watching General Hospital lately, you know we really need to look at Port Charles right now not just as a series of random events, but as a living, breathing, dramatic ecosystem that is rapidly reaching critical mass. I mean, as momentum builds toward May sweeps, these old decisions are echoing so loudly into the present. We are tracking shifting loyalties, completely blurred ethical lines, and secrets that are practically screaming to be detonated. I am not the same cop anymore. Wow. That chilling realization from Dante literally establishes the core theme of our entire analysis today: the absolute collapse of morality and the shifting power dynamics gripping the canvas right now. When a by-the-book detective looks at his own history, the exact same man who once allowed a teenage Michael to go to prison, and decides to abandon the law to protect his own son from the WSB, you know the tectonic plates of the show have completely shifted. Everyone in Port Charles right now is operating in this massive gray area, and absolutely no one is safe from the fallout. So let's dive into our first major piece of the puzzle, the illusion of control. Look across the board right now. So many characters genuinely believe they are the ones pulling the strings, completely unaware that the web is tightening right around them. And honestly, no one embodies this terrifying shift better than Willow. We have her public image, right? The devoted wife, meticulously nursing a compromised Drew. But the terrifying reality is that Willow is the puppet master. She is systematically and secretly drugging Drew to keep him in a locked-in state. This isn't just some crime of passion. It is pure, methodical detachment. She literally admitted to shooting him without a shred of remorse, viewing it simply as a necessary step to reclaim dominance over her life and her children. She thinks she holds all the cards, but as we're seeing, her grip is incredibly fragile. Let's just look at the dark and, let's be real, almost farcical domino effect that completely shattered her control right in the dawn of day living room. Step 1. Willow steps out, leaving a highly anxious Nina in charge of administering Drew's paralytic dose. Step 2. WSB agent Jack Brennan shows up, quickly followed by Valentin, wielding a gun. And Step 3. Pure, unadulterated chaos. Valentin disarms Jack, and a frantic Nina, desperate to intervene, grabs the syringe meant for Drew and injects Jack Brennan instead. Just like that, a high-level espionage agent suffers a chemically induced stroke right on the living room floor. And it's all because Willow tried to delegate her dirty work. And that brings us to this incredibly crucial number right here, 72. That is the frantic 72-hour ticking clock Willow has handed Nina before Jack potentially wakes up at General Hospital and blows the lid off this whole thing. And what makes this even richer is the sheer soap opera irony happening right at Jack's bedside. Cullum, the very man Jack was trying to outmaneuver, is standing over a comatose Jack, tapping him on the head, gloating that Jack essentially neutralized himself. It's a masterpiece of dramatic irony, you guys, with multiple villains completely misinterpreting the board. All right, shifting gears a bit, let's look at the bigger picture, the espionage trap. So, while all these domestic dramas play out, they are violently colliding with massive macro-level threats. Mapping out the Sidwell and Cullum conspiracy here shows us exactly who holds narrative power and who is being totally isolated. Look at Britt. She's being actively coerced. Her life-saving Huntington's medication is literally being weaponized to force her to act as a proxy doctor for their shadow ops. Yet, she is still desperately fighting back to protect Rocco. Then you have Jason stepping up, taking the fall, and getting arrested for the Pier incident just to shield Rocco. And finally, Sunny, who is being actively framed by Sidwell for Marco's murder to keep the PCPD distracted. Sidwell is basically playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, manipulating public opinion and the police so everyone is looking the wrong way. And speaking of looking the wrong way, we absolutely have to talk about this incredible development, Cassius Fyson, an evil twin posing as his dead brother, Nathan West. He is currently keeping WSB agent Jocelyn hostage in the Windermere catacombs, which, by the way, is the exact same cell Anna was once held in. The tension here is fantastic because Jocelyn is desperately trying to use her new WSB training to psychoanalyze and outmaneuver a literal evil twin. Meanwhile, Cassius is starting to slip. You know, his bruised ribs from that mystery scuffle and his increasingly aggressive, decidedly un-Nathan-like demands to Lulu about shipping Rocco out of town. He's leaving a massive trail of breadcrumbs that are absolutely going to expose his true identity. Which brings us right into the deep emotional stakes of the show, the sins of the fathers. This legacy of violence and secrets is crushing the next generation, creating this explosive mounting pressure. Rocco is completely falling apart, just consumed by the guilt that Jason is taking the fall for his actions on Pier 55. We saw him literally break down in Britt's arms. And to protect him, the adults are crossing lines they swore they never ever would. Elizabeth is risking her entire medical career to secretly hand Dante the DNA from the hospital. Dante abandons his badge to protect his son. And worst of all, this vacuum of truth is pushing the other kids, Danny and Charlotte, to plot a highly dangerous rogue break-in at Windermere to save Jason themselves. It's crazy. The protective instincts of the parents are ironically putting the children in even more danger. And this fear and projection from the older generation is completely blinding them. On one side, Sonny's paranoia has reached an absolute fever pitch. He literally held his brother Rick at gunpoint at the gallery based on nothing but unfounded suspicions and whispered alliances with Ava. And on the other side, Curtis is operating with blind stubbornness. He's so desperate for someone to pay for Jordan's critical car crash that he is relentlessly targeting Dr. Isaiah, basically trying to force the evidence to fit his narrative, even as Jordan herself is begging him to reconsider. Both men are letting fear override their logic, and they're alienating their best allies in the process. Okay, let's take a quick cinematic breather for an interlude. The emotional palette. Because in a universe as dense as General Hospital, you have to balance all these heavy crimes with emotional anchors. We need to remember what these characters are actually fighting for. We are seeing this really beautiful contrast playing out right now. Lulu is finally processing her messy, complicated grief for Luke Spencer, finding some real closure through that community tribute. It's all about looking back and reconciling with a deeply flawed legacy. But meanwhile, we have this wonderfully forward-looking narrative with Gio and Emma's romantic trip to New York City. Revealing Gio's past playing violin for Aladdin on Broadway wasn't just a fun little crossover. It showed him actively building an identity entirely separate from the mob and the Quartermains. It really proves that Port Charles can balance the heavy weight of its history with the promise of the future. All right, let's shift into high gear. We are hitting the boiling point. As we get closer and closer to May sweeps, we are tracking some massive dangling threads that are practically screaming to be set off. First up, Michael just received those incriminating photos of Willow and Chase in the park from his PI, Elaine. So Willow's dark, carefully constructed house of cards, yeah, it is trembling. Meanwhile, Chase and Brooklyn's desperate, heartbreaking attempt to foster baby Phoebe is hitting a massive legal wall. And they are completely unaware that Ethan is quietly mourning Delilah, the baby's mother. Back at the hospital, Callum is manipulating the comatose Jack Brennan's proxy paperwork to seize power, and Jocelyn is locked in a room, desperately plotting her escape from a man capable of pretty much anything. So, based on all these interconnected storylines, here are my top 3 predictions for where we're heading. 1. Michael is going to confront Willow. Her illusion of control is about to shatter completely when Michael puts those PI photos on the table, forcing her to scramble to hide her much darker secret about Drew. 2. Dante's cover-up is going to be exposed. Come on, you cannot hide a gunshot wound to a WSB agent forever, and Dante's rogue investigation is going to put him directly in the crosshairs of both the law and Cullum. And 3, Jocelyn is going to break Cassius. She's a trained agent, and Cassius is already slipping. She's absolutely going to discover his endgame with Sidwell before he even realizes she's playing him. So, between Willow's dark descent, the WSB espionage trap, and the sins of the fathers coming home to roost, I have to ask you, who will pay the ultimate price when Rocco's secret finally explodes? Will it be Jason, Dante, or someone entirely unexpected? Get in the comments and let me know your theories. Until next time, keep analyzing the ecosystem.